Welcome to the Conquering Chronic Illness Show. I'm your host, Daphne Wiswell, the chronic illness coach. And each week, I'm going to be bringing you stories, strategies, and sparks of hope that I pray will encourage you on your journey through life as a conqueror. If illness, mindsets, or other obstacles have held you back from living the life you desire, and you've been looking for real hope, real strategy, and real connection, then you've come to the right place. I'm so glad you're here. Well, hey, y'all, welcome back to the Conquering Chronic Illness Show. Today, we're going to be talking about 5 habits that you can establish to transform your health and your life. I talk about this a lot in my Overcomer course. It's actually part of the very first module where I teach my students about ways they can begin to bless their body. That's what I like to call it, because when we really start to invest in our health and in our mindset and in all of the things that make us become better stewards of our body, we're blessing our body. And I think for myself, I really battled this idea that it was selfish for me to take time to do that, especially when my kids have their own chronic and autoimmune conditions. My husband was working out of town all the time. And when he came home, I wanted to focus on him. And so for me to think about, what does my body need? What is my body saying? How do I bless the divine design that God gave it so that it can continue to function the way that He created it to, in alignment with healing and with life? And so I'm excited to share some of those habits with you today. I'm going to make sure that these are succinctly listed in the show notes so that you can go and find that easily without having to take a lot of notes. So you can just sit back and listen. I'll give you that cheat sheet so that you can go over it later. Okay, so the very first one is so basic. Don't stop listening because I'm sharing a basic one at the very beginning. I'm just sharing this because it is the most basic. It is a foundation, and it will begin to transform your health and your life when you start to drink more water. Now, growing up, I remember my aunts being like, you need to drink more water. I never see you drink water. I drank a lot of milk. I drank a lot of tea. I drank a lot of soda. I remember, this is going to age me. I remember any 80s kids listening, like, what was it? Tang. It was like this orange powdery substance that my mom would mix into water. We drank a ton of that and lots of sugar, Kool-Aid, all that kind of stuff. I later found out, I don't remember how many years ago this was, that Tang will actually really clean the inside of a dishwasher. And so I think, what was that doing to my body? What was that doing to my cells? Like, I don't even know. I don't think I want to know. But not blaming you, Mom, for all the Tang and the Kool-Aid. It's okay. But I am saying that we should drink more water because our cells need water to function properly. And if we get thirsty and we're reaching for milk or soda or Kool-Aid or fruit juices or whatever else, we're not giving our body what it's craving and what it needs to really thrive and function at optimal levels. And so habit number 1, drink more water. And if you're like, oh, I don't like the taste of water, then you're in good company. That was me for years and years and years and years. And it was so hard for me to conquer the obstacle of not wanting to drink water because I didn't like the way that it tasted. And so I started out by doing things like, so Starbucks makes this, what is it called? Gosh, it's a tea. It's like pink and I can see it, and they mix it with lemonade. So this isn't water, but okay, passion tea. I couldn't think of the name of it. So, so I just started making passion tea at home. And back then I didn't know what I was doing. I mixed it with sweet and low. But I was taking some baby steps to blessing my body. I was learning that, soda wasn't the best thing. Kool-Aid wasn't the best thing. Sweet tea, my husband loved and got me hooked on when we first got married. I drank that for years. So I thought, okay, I'm going to switch to like an herbal tea, and I'm not going to put sugar in it. I'm going to put sweet and low. Don't do that. don't drink artificial sweeteners. But I started putting more of that into my body. And gradually I was like, okay, now I can do less and less tea, less and less sweet and low, get it to where it tastes more like water. I had to have it flavored at first. So a more healthy way to flavor your water, if you need something with flavor, is to infuse it with lemon wedges, lime wedges, orange wedges. I also really love, so you can buy special pitchers for this on Amazon. I'll find one and I'll share a link in the show notes. But you can find special pitchers where you put the fruit in the center, and it just infuses the water with so much flavor. I also really love cucumber mint water, so refreshing. And let me think of some others. You can put berries in the center and give it like a fruitier flavor instead of citrus. There's so many different ways that you can infuse your water with flavor so that you're getting tons of what your body needs and none of what it doesn't, which is caffeine, sugar, all these things that like increase levels of inflammation in our cells and don't promote or encourage healing. So that's habit number 1 to transform your health and life. Okay, number 2. Did you know that the way that you speak about your body really matters? The Bible says that the power of life and death is in the tongue. And so if you're constantly saying things like, oh, I'm so exhausted. Oh my gosh, I'm hurting so bad. Or, oh my goodness, I have such a terrible memory, whatever it might be, then you're not speaking life over your body. You're speaking death. And so if you want to begin to speak life over your body, then even if today the facts might be that you're in pain, that you're experiencing extreme fatigue, that your brain feels foggy, whatever it might be, you can choose to change the way you speak about your body and what you are experiencing. Because I've learned from Dr. Caroline Leaf, who I love, that you can create new neural pathways in your brain with the words that you speak. So you can teach your brain what your experience should be by the words that you're saying. And that starts with the thoughts that you're thinking. So if you're thinking, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I didn't sleep good, then I want you to ask yourself, what's the opposite of that? What is a life-giving blessing that I could speak over my body that has nothing to do with being tired? And so you could say something like, oh my goodness, I am full of energy. I have so much life inside of me today. And you may not feel that and you may not believe it, but if you will speak it over yourself, then you will begin to see your life transformed. Your body will transform, your mind will transform, the things that you're capable of doing will transform. I'm telling you, this shifted everything for me. And it was many, many, many years before I even knew who Dr. Caroline Leaf was. This is one of the strategies that God Himself said, I want you to change the way that you're speaking about your experience. I want you to speak what you want to experience, what you want to be true. Because if you will begin to speak those things, then those desires in your heart are going to become your reality. And that is exactly what has happened for me. So I would wake up in the morning and I would be so tired and I would be in so much pain. I didn't know how I was going to get through the day taking care of 3 little ones while my husband was working out of town. But I would say things like I just shared with you. I am so full of life. I'm vibrant with energy. I'm free of pain. I'm full of joy. I'm overwhelmed with the goodness and blessings in my life. And so I would say things that didn't feel true, but that I wanted to be true. And all of those things are true today. My experience has been completely transformed. And I believe what God does for one, He'll do for another, but that we are invited to partner with Him in that transformation. And so you can partner with Him by speaking blessings over your body. That's number 2. Okay. The next habit is eat less junk food. Okay. Now I'm not saying never eat junk food again, because I love junk food every once in a while. But what I am saying is if processed foods and packaged foods are a regular part of your routine, then I would love to see you really take evaluation of that and to really get clear with yourself on how often you're grabbing packaged things or fast food or stuff that feels easy, because it's really not that difficult to weed some of that stuff out and to grab healthier options instead. I mean, it's not hard to, put raspberries and blackberries and different things like that in your refrigerator and grab those when you want something sweet instead of a cookie. It's not difficult to throw some chicken in an Instant Pot and let it cook while you're doing laundry or helping kids with homework or whatever else you might have going on in your life, right? And that can be cooking. And then you have a nice salad. I mean, there are so many simple things that we can do that don't take a lot of time. It might just be shifting the way that we think about time, the way that we talk about time, and the way that we invest our time. So, eating less junk food and focusing on how you can make small changes in that area. I want to challenge you, if you go out to eat 3 times a week, maybe reduce it to once a week. If you're used to grabbing packaged snacks for yourself or the kids, maybe swap out one of those items that's usually on your grocery list for something that's healthier. This is a gradual process. This is a gradual journey. And I don't believe in all or nothing. I don't believe in doing it all at once, because all that does is create overwhelm and burnout very quickly. I've done that so many times in my journey. Like, okay, throwing everything out of the pantry, everything out of the refrigerator. We're starting this whole new way of eating. And, my neighbors from back then can tell you, like, I'd knock on the doors and be like, do you want this? Do you want this? Will you eat that? Because I was getting all the things out of my house that I just didn't want us to be consuming anymore. And they weren't all, I'm not giving my neighbors, bad stuff. Like maybe I decided we weren't going to do grains for a while. And so I'd give them all my rice and oatmeal and whatever else. But I learned the hard way that all that does is lead to frustration, overwhelm, and burnout very quickly. And so that's why I'm challenging you. If eat less junk food is going to be one of your goals that you really want to, aim for, then don't try to cut all of it out at once, because you're just going to get frustrated. Pick one thing and say, okay, I know that this thing isn't good for me and I want to weed it out of my plan. And so what can I replace it with? What will satisfy the craving that I have for salty or sweet or whatever it might be without it being this junk food? Okay, the next one is one that I think is really hard, especially for women, moms, caregivers. But I think it's one of the most important. So I don't know why I'm leaving it for number 4, but self-care. And I think that self-care is a buzzword that has gotten a really bad rap. So I just want to tell you what I mean by self-care. What I mean by self-care is I want you to know that you are worth having a good bedtime routine. Like, you should be able to wind down at the end of the day, take a nice bath, a hot shower, whatever it is. Like, I believe that you deserve to have that time for you. I think that you're worth having a good night's sleep. And as the mom of 2 kids with chronic and autoimmune disease, I can tell you that this is something that I have struggled with for a really long time, because my kids need help in the middle of the night. There are things that just have to be done for them to stay safe. And so I totally understand that, getting a full 8 or 10 hours or whatever is usually recommended might not always be possible. But I think you need to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, how often are you not getting a good night's sleep? And how can you remedy that? Is there a spouse, a neighbor, a friend, a grandparent, someone who, more than just every couple of months can, share the load of caregiving with you so that you can get good rest? Because not getting good rest is not doing anything to help with the healing processes. Your body heals while you're sleeping. And so you need to sleep. You need a rest if you want to experience wholeness in your body. So part of self-care for me is a good sleep routine. And it means asking for help when I need help so that I can have that good sleep routine. Just a couple of years ago, I decided that this was going to be a really main focus for me. And so I went out and I bought blackout curtains. I made sure that my room was dark when it needed to be dark, so that, when the sun started coming up at whatever early time in the morning it comes up, I wasn't waking up automatically. I needed to sleep a good number of hours. And so whatever you need to do to make sure that good restful sleep is on your routine, start doing that. Find people who can support you in that, who can hold you accountable, who can ask how they can help you so that you can do that thing. Another part of self-care for me is just putting rest in my schedule. So not sleep, but times where I'm not working, I'm not taking care of anyone, I'm not planning anything, I'm not doing house chores or anything else that might be happening in my life. I have planned times where I'm just resting, and that might look like reading, it might look like going for a walk, it might look like listening to podcasts that I really enjoy, it might look like playing music, it might look like just doing something really fun, something that I really enjoy. Hobbies, I don't have a lot of hobbies right now. I I used to do all kinds of things like crochet or scrapbook, or I guess my hobby is cooking. I love to cook. But finding a hobby and doing something that you really enjoy, something that really fills you up, make time for that. Put it on your schedule. Don't leave it to chance. Oh, one day when I have time, when I don't feel so tired, when I'm not feeling overwhelmed, put it on your schedule. One thing I have learned about really making sure that this goes in my schedule is that I actually feel more energetic when I invest time in things that really make me feel more rested, that make me feel creative, that make me feel alive. And so I can remember back in the days when I was really struggling with rheumatoid arthritis, one of the things I really loved to do was decorate my house. I still love to do that, but it was really hard for me back then to do anything like paint a wall or, redo a piece of furniture or things I love to do. And so I would just make sure that I had intentional time set aside every week, every day, whatever it was, so that I could finish projects like that. And back then I had to be like, okay, if I do this, then for 3 days, I'm going to be totally wiped out. Okay. But that's okay because I don't have, we don't have any homeschool events. I don't have any meetings or whatever it might be. I had to really look at my schedule and plan those things out. Number one, so that I would get them done because it just made me feel so lit up, so happy, so full of joy. But number two, because I had to plan around my physical circumstances, right? So it doesn't mean I never got that stuff done. I just had to be very intentional about how I did it. So that's part of self-care for me, is being creative, finding time to rest. Another thing is making time to play. Play is a part of self-care for me. My husband and I actually in a little over a week are going to take a couple of days to go camping, which I used to hate doing, but now I absolutely love. We're going to go hiking. We're going to spend some time by ourselves in nature. And that's self care to me as well. Just like I said, doing things that I enjoy, being around people I love, feeling so filled back up. It matters so much. And I think as women, we tend to just put ourselves on the back burner and think, well, I'm going to take care of everyone else before I take care of myself. And if there's any time left over, then I'm going to take care of myself. But actually, if we would value ourselves enough to make space and make time and make plans to take care of ourselves, then I believe that, and I've seen it and I've experienced it, that we'll be so filled up that we have no choice but to overflow with joy and energy and life and gratitude. And it just spills out onto all the people around us, especially the people who are closest to us, the family unit that we live with, those friends in our close circle. And so I just want to bless you. This is like one of the most important habits that you can do to transform your health, your life, and your relationships, is for you to know that you have permission to take care of yourself, and that it doesn't just bless you, but it blesses the people that you are in relationship with. Number 5, I didn't leave it for last because it's the least important. But number 5 is to find a type of movement or exercise that you enjoy. And one of the things I tell my clients when they're like, oh my gosh, I don't like to lift weights. I'm not a runner. I don't know what to do when I go to the gym. Okay, I want you to think about what you loved to do when you were a child. Did you love to jump rope? Did you love to go swimming? Did you love hula hooping? Was dancing your thing? Gymnastics? Did you love running track? Whatever it might be, I want you to picture yourself as a child just feeling so full of joy and energy in life as you were engaging in that physical activity. And that's where I want you to put your focus. That is movement that you naturally gravitate toward, that lights you up, that energizes you. And I want you to ask yourself how you can begin to incorporate that type of movement into your life again. And if you have any physical limitations, I know that can be difficult to imagine, but that's that whole perspective thing that we talked about in the last episode, right? And also just speaking life and blessing over your physical body. And if you can't do it as fully as you did when you were a child, do what you can. Do what you can, because movement, exercise, all of that is so healing for all of your cells. It does so many things for um, positive emotional chemicals in our brain that you need, hormones, right? And so I just encourage you to take some time to remember what those movements were that you really enjoyed as a child, and to ask God and yourself how you can begin to implement those in your life again today. Okay, well, I hope these 5 habits to transform your health and life have been helpful for you. Like I said, I'm going to put a brief synopsis in the show notes so that you can go back and look at them. And I hope to hear from some of you stories of something that you've implemented and how it has helped you transform your health or your life. Thank you for listening to the Conquering Chronic Illness Show. I bless you to know that you are more than a conqueror. And if you'd like to get around other women who are on a journey to developing that identity for themselves, that identity of conqueror, then you're invited to join me in my totally free Facebook group called The Conqueror Community. It's a place where you can connect with like-minded conquerors, women who are on a journey of conquering all the things that are threatening to stand in the way of the abundant life Jesus promised them. When you gather in a community of women who are encouraging and uplifting and supportive and full of hope and their own testimonies of conquering, then it fuels your faith to keep going on your own journey. So I hope that I'll see you there.